So welcome to episode 6 of the Alcohol Maddox War Plan webinar series. I'm Richie, as many of you now know. Today I'm excited to be joined by Fahd Khater, the CEO of Sky High Advertising. So say hello, Fahd.
Hi, how are you guys? Hope everything's okay with you today.
Excellent, let's hope so too. Well, they should be fantastic if they've managed to join us on this webinar. Guys, if you can hear Fahd as well, can you please just type a capital F in the chat box as well, please, just to make sure we've got a good sound coming from both of us. Let's have a look. Just want to make sure we can hear everyone before we get started. Fahd, you just want to tell us where in Dubai you're calling in from, just to give people an opportunity to hear you.
Okay, I'm calling from Livan, which is an area beside Silicon Oasis, and the weather is not very good. We have some winds outside, but everything's okay. It's sunny, and let's hope the evening will be better.
Okay, can everybody hear Fahd, please? Can you just put a capital F either in the questions or the chat box, please, guys, just before we get started? Just want to make sure everyone can hear. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Billy. Thanks, Abe. Thanks, Simon. Fantastic. Okay, great. So, right. First, I just need one other question, one other ask, really. That really is permission from you guys. I tend to speak quite fast sometimes. So, if I do speak fast and you can't hear me or something is, you didn't quite make out what I said, please just type a comment in the chat box or questions and I'll happily restate it for you guys, okay? So it's just going to be myself and Fahd doing talking today. If you do have questions as we go through, please feel free to put them in the chat box as we go. There's no need to wait until the end. As questions come up, please raise your hand straight away. Also, be really interested to hear if you have any really key insights from what Fahd is explaining for us today. So if you have an insight, just type capital I, and then the insight, and I'll read that out to the group as well, so we can all get collective value from this, okay? So, for those of you that don't know me already, as I said, my name is Richie. I run a niche recruitment and executive search firm based here in Dubai. Our primary focus is sourcing sales and commercial leadership talent for the technology sector, so the IT channel industry specifically. To be more so, the kind of key roles that we focus on are channel manager, partnership manager, VP of sales, commercial director, and director of sales. Simply put, sales leadership is my passion. Okay, I've spent the last 25 years either selling or building high-performing sales teams, and honestly, no one understands better than I do the true impact I've felt by a company by installing the right commercial leader from both a cultural perspective and also from a performance perspective. Now that said, today's not about recruitment, nor is it about me. It's actually about you, and I'm specifically now talking to business managers in the IT and services community. Now, over the past few weeks, I've spoken to many of you on the call today to get a better sense of what are the top of mind challenges that you guys are facing at the moment as a result of COVID-19. Some of you have already become part of our mastermind group, which is a community where it's really a community that's been set up to tackle this crisis head on from a business perspective. Now, the top of mind challenges that you've articulated to me are really driving the content for this webinar series. And this webinar series is really my way of giving back to the IT community, but then also bringing the IT community together to ensure that we set ourselves up to thrive despite the hardships that are being suffered by some companies. Now, we've already held sessions on how to keep a remote workforce engaged, the increased threat to cybersecurity born out of working from home, fast-tracking digital transformation, safeguarding reputation for post-COVID-19 world, and then last week we were discussing managing a partner ecosystem during a crisis. Each week, as you know, we bring in different industry experts to help us piece together strategies to overcome these challenges. In the coming weeks, we've got sessions penciled in already for maintaining sales during a downturn, change management, and then preparing for the bounce back. At the end of the series, we'll be compiling all of these strategies in the form of a white paper So if you'd like to receive a copy of the white paper, please stay to the end of today's session, and I'll give you more details on how you can get hold of a copy. Right, well, that brings us to today. Now, the challenge we're going to be addressing today's session is that of business continuity. And there's really no better person to talk to about this than Fahd Khater. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, Fahd runs a marketing and advertising agency here in Dubai, where most of his work has historically been in events. And given what we all know about the events industry at the moment, how much has been hammered, I'm really keen to hear just how Fahd and his organisation is surviving, well, setting himself up to thrive rather, given the current circumstances. I'm sure there are many things we can learn from Fahd and the strategies he's going to articulate to us today that we can apply to our own business. So without further ado, Fahd, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself, just give us a bit of background on who you are and why you're in this industry to start with, perhaps.
Hi, how are you guys? I have a BA in mass communication, radio and TV from Lebanon. I've been in UAE for more than 18 years. Since 2002, I came to UAE. I am the CEO and the founder of Sky High Advertising. I'm someone who believes that if we stop learning, we're going backward, not going forward. So this is why I continued also through all the time. I've been working to get also digital media certified and social media certified, which has helped us to understand more our clients and how to approach our clients. Being in Dubai for around 18 years in the situation that we're seeing today, you need to have a hat full of rabbits and magic just to come up and find ways how to move forward and how to continue striving. So this is Dubai, and we.
You've also been in the industry for quite a while. You've been in the region for, so I think, 18 years. What attracted you to the events and advertising industry specifically?
As I said, I started as a radio TV. My wife is a creative director, and we started together Sky High from around 15 years ago. And while working together with our clients, we find that there's always a request for doing the events, handling the events, not only doing the creative part and the video parts for them. And we started the whole events thing in 2008. And accordingly, we've been in the industry of events and exhibitions since 2008 till date. We have delivered a lot of success stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about that. Who are some of the events or some of the names that you've worked with, just to give us an idea of the kind of business that you usually operate?
Last year, we got Guinness Record Award for Ras Al Khaimah government, and we got a lot of Best Stands awards, Best Technology on Stands awards. We're dealing more with government sector and pharma companies as corporate events and launch events and branding events. So this is mainly our niche in events and exhibitions that we're doing.
Okay, fine. But the events, from the sounds of it, makes up quite a large portion of your business, right?
Exactly. Especially that in Dubai, our season starts in October and finishes in April, and you have Ramadan usually for some mall activations. I cannot say if it's luckily or unluckily this year we got hit in the middle of the season. So you know, with the start of COVID in February, so mainly most of our projects were either cancelled or postponed, and this is a big hit in the middle of the season.
Yeah, so like you said, so this would be the best part of the year for you anyway. In addition to that, the fact that Ramadan is during this part of the year as well is I guess a bumper month for you, because you'd have more business because of the usual mall activations and what have you. But now you're not benefiting from either of those things. So I think it's quite easy to see, without necessarily knowing about your business. I mean, I think we can all understand just how obvious the impact is to the advertising and event industry of COVID-19. So what other ways has COVID-19 become a problem for you? Obviously events, but it extends beyond just events, right? I mean, can you just expand a little bit more on that for us, just so we understand, we got a better framing of the problem, if you like, which we're going to address?
living in Dubai is the hub for all the events and exhibitions. Everybody comes here. You have the biggest events happening on all in the area. When you're talking in GITEX, when you're talking ATM, when you're talking Gulf Food, when you're talking Arab Health, these are, and a lot of other events happening in the area. And when you stop traveling, when you close the airports, when your people cannot go in or go out of the country, and people are stuck at their homes, everything will be affected and everything will be put on pause or postponed. And this is a huge problem for the industry, because nobody will be doing any events, any exhibitions, any activity or activation in the malls. You also, which is very important, also the social distancing, and how can you get the people to interact together if they are not allowed to be together. So this was a huge effect and hit for the whole industry.
Well, look, it sounds, yeah, it's like I said, it's fairly obvious just how much of an impact this is having on you guys. But you know, you haven't packed up your bags. You're still working. You're still operating. Business is still continuing. So we're kind of keen to understand how is someone who works in advertising and marketing and has the bulk of their business in events, how are you even continuing to do business? So, you know, we were discussing this on a call the other day, and you kind of defined, I guess, 3 strategies that you're employing to tackle this problem face on. You mentioned obviously redefining reach. You mentioned identifying the tools in hand and repackaging them, and you also mentioned innovation. So let's take a moment to walk through each one of those things, and then at the end of each, I guess, strategy, we can see if the guests have some questions for you. So let's take the first one head on, Fahd. Redefine reach. Can you just explain what does that mean in the context of the problem that you're facing in this industry?
Okay, since in our business it's B2B mainly, it's not B2C, because we cater to companies and we cater to marketing managers and brand managers. And once you're dealing with the business owners, you have to keep in mind that there's another layer of audience, which is not only our audience, it's their audience. That when the whole thing started with COVID, it was like you look at it from as if you're watching a video or a series, and you see that everything is on pause. Airports are stopped. People are not traveling. People are not going out. Meetings are not happening anymore. So we need to find a way. How can we reach our clients more? Because we cannot stop. We need to keep moving forward, and we cannot pause. Not only because we don't want to pause, our expenses are not pausing. The people around us are not pausing. Our responsibilities are not pausing. So whether the market stops or not, we have to move forward. So this is the idea where we sat together with the team, and with the creative team and everything, and we said, okay, let's redefine our clients. Let's redefine how can we reach our clients. If we cannot go to meetings and sit with them face to face, let's start doing our phone calls. Let's remind them of us. Let's let them remember that we are here. We can talk to them, we can communicate with them, and at the same time, let them know that they can still reach their customers, because many people are used for traveling, for meetings, and then you're telling everybody, sit home in front of your laptop, and you need to achieve, and you need to reach your targets, and you need to move forward. So they need to find ways how to can move forward. We redefined our clients. Yeah.
So there's a few elements there you mentioned. So redefining your clients. Can you talk about that specifically? Because does that mean that you're now catering to a completely different audience, or you're just engaging with those clients in a different way? Can you just explain that?
It's mainly we need to understand. We understood who our clients are, who are the low-hanging fruits for the situation that we're having now. The clients that have exhibition stands that are already postponed. This means we have to approach them in a different way. The people that used to have events and exhibitions, we need to sit with them and tell them, guys, you cannot reach that person now directly or face to face, but you can reach them through different ways. So we started creating client mapping of who can we reach faster, who needs our services faster, and how can we approach them and show them the tools that we have. And at the same time, we had some challenges in explaining to our clients how can they reach their clients, their customer base, because for them, okay, I'm not doing an event, so how can I reach him?
So do you think
You
that
don't need
was
an event.
that is the mindset of your clients then? So you had to, so it's all very well you having the attitude of, okay, business is continuing, but I guess your business can't continue unless you have clients paying you, right? So it sounds like there was a lot of education that had to take place with the clients.
This is so true. Even with some of our competitors that we work together with, or the partners, let's say, that we join forces with, for them it was like it's the end of the it's the end of the world. Should I pack? Should I stay? Should I do? And this is what I tell them. Hey, wait. Your clients are doing now events and used to do events and exhibitions, but they also need marketing. They also need video content. They also need emailers. They also need to reach their customers. So let's approach your customers, explain for them what we can do, educate them about the services and the tools that we have, and let's bring as much as we can from them until the market comes back on foot, or at least until we go back to normal.
So did you find that you're in this kind of redefining reach, was this part of a business acquisition strategy, or was it, did you start with the clients that you have already, let's say, in the pipeline, already set up for events? Maybe you perhaps already invested in projects that now weren't able to deliver. What was the process? Was it new business or existing business that you looked at first?
It was a mix of both. We immediately informed our clients that we have the tools to help them, and we started communicating with the new or all the clients that we had before, or even people that we approached earlier about our services, but they don't know that we can support with the COVID situation. So, and accordingly, we started communicating with them. One major thing that we started doing is that, you know, we started showing heart. I started calling people that I haven't talked to for the last 3 or 4 years. Hi, how are you? How's your family? Are you stuck in the country? How can we help you? It's more like give them a hand. And everybody is panicking. Everybody is panic mode. Is in panic mode, and there's no way to panic. There's no time for panicking now. We need to execute so that you can keep moving forward. And I started doing the same thing with all my clients, previous people I know, and accordingly telling them that, guys, the world have stopped, but business doesn't stop. So let's find a way how we can move forward. We did some posts, we did some videos. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say, so you're obviously engaging your clients perhaps on a more personal level than you've done in the past, and maybe you've needed to in the past. But did you find that guys were receptive, or was again, I guess coming back to the point we mentioned about education a little bit earlier on, was there I guess a new process to go through with I guess convincing them to spend money? Because I guess there's a lot of people, especially in the IT industry, which we focus on. You know, there are lots of companies that still have quite extreme revenue targets, but if their customers aren't willing to spend money, how do we convince them to spend money? If we believe their product is, if we believe our product is still relevant, but the client is questioning its relevance, how do you overcome that?
This is where the good thing about the situation that we are in is everybody wants to talk. So the second you call someone and you tell him how's everything with you, he opens his heart because he's sitting home and he's stuck and he needs to communicate with people. And this is when you start understanding his problem more. So it wasn't more based on business only. It's more about showing the heart, showing the human part and the emotional part. What's going on? What's your problems? Why you're not communicating with your clients? Okay, instead of you doing an event and spending, let's say, hundreds of thousands of dirhams, why don't we do a small campaign of emailer campaign, 2-3 emailers that will cost you 10% of that whole budget, and let's see how we can communicate with your customers. Let's build a database. Let's change our approach, prepare something new online that can start building the approach and get the people to know that we are here. The idea of getting them to use our services in this time was easy due to the thing is that the tools we're using are not very expensive. You're not telling him to invest in a sponsorship of $500,000. You're telling him to invest in a video or a campaign which is 15,000 dirhams or 10,000 dirhams or 5,000 dirhams. So it's not anymore that big budgets that you have to worry about. And you start guiding him little by little to show him how he can take the lead and how can he get more out of what he's spending.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds very much like the dynamic of the relationship has changed somewhat. So in the past, again, you tell me if I'm wrong, because this is not my industry, but it sounds like in the past you would have perhaps Perhaps people coming to you saying, you know, we want to exhibit at this event, or we want to get this exposure, what have you. And you had a lot of, let's say, incoming leads. But in this situation, the roles are reversed somewhat, and you're having to go to clients or prospects, educate them on what is available, and then essentially lead the way. Rather than wait for business to come to you, you're having to now step outside your office, albeit theoretically, and actually guide companies on, you know, look, it's okay, we can still do business. There are still routes to market that we haven't yet explored. Is that a fair assessment of what's going on?
This is exactly what's going on. I took the list of all our customers and I started approaching them one by one. There's one thing that I always make sure in my company is the personal relationship with the people that we work with. There's always something that I create as a personal relationship with them, and this is where every time whenever there's a crisis or something, I start calling them, telling them that, guys, we're here to listen, and start simplifying the process for them. It's not about a campaign, it's just about a small video that you're going to do. And one of the major things that the tools that before was like discarded or being put on the side, which is WhatsApp. We started using WhatsApp as a platform to share videos and to share posts, because to reach people, it's not only the email, because email is very business oriented or corporate oriented, while through WhatsApp, it's more the personal part, preparing small, nice videos about stay home, nice videos about thank you videos or stuff like this, and sharing it on WhatsApp to get the people more on edge and to see what you're doing and how can you start the whole conversation with them.
So look, before we get into the tool side, which is another interesting topic as well, let's kind of just ring fence the redefining of reach. Just to kind of sum up and also to check my understanding of what we've just been discussing. So you said that you went through a client mapping exercise at the beginning of the crisis to really understand, you know, what are the perhaps the low-hanging fruit. I guess in this you were looking for companies that weren't yet, I guess, cutting themselves off from business. They still had the mindset of, look, business is continuing, let's continue to move forward. Because undoubtedly there are companies within your client mapping, let's say, that had, and we've seen this across many industries, companies that have kind of decided, okay, let's just batten down the hatches. We'll consolidate things and we'll hope for the best. You're in your client mapping exercise, you were really looking for clients that you'd already engaged with that already had this, I guess, forward-thinking attitude, some out of necessity and some out of just the willingness to say, okay, you know what, actually there's an opportunity here. Let's grab it whilst other companies are falling by the wayside. So there's a market map thing, which I think was really interesting. The engaging on a personal level to a level deeper than you perhaps previously done is super interesting as well. And then approaching it from a, I guess, market leading mindset as well, rather than just continue to do business. You're becoming, I guess, a bit of a thought leader in the industry. Is that a fair kind of summing up the redefining reach you mentioned?
Yes, correct. It's all about how can we be closer to them and help them be closer to their clients.
Okay, so let me. So there's a question from Walid. So the question is, how was the feedback reaction from customers when you reached to their personal mobile? So this is actually quite an interesting question actually, because this is, in all honesty, this is something I've steered away from personally, because I reach people on LinkedIn, I reach people on email. We have various nurturing campaigns and what have you already in place. But then when you start to WhatsApp, for example, is not something I've decided to use, because to me, WhatsApp, at least I perceive WhatsApp to be a little bit too direct, maybe invasive. So what's your opinion on that? I think that's the question from Walid.
It's people are sitting home and they have time on their hands, and they are all the time on their mobiles, whether checking their emails, whether going through their social media platforms and everything. And the idea is not only to reach them through WhatsApp as much as what's the message you're sending through. We're not selling anymore. We're showing heart. We're explaining about more checking on them, asking them about what they're doing, sending them messages that they care. For example, one of our clients, we have developed for them more than 25 tips that they can use for sitting home, stay home, what to do, what not to do. This is more, and these are brought to you by, let's say, Sky High, or brought to you by someone else. It's not anymore selling a product, it's selling branding and positioning yourself as someone who cares and someone who is interested in the customer that you're sending the message to before selling the product. So the approach using WhatsApp is more just to show that you're there beside them and you care about them.
Interesting. So it's not a direct sales tactic, at least at this stage. It's more a case of awareness. Look, we're here, and you recognize that this is a route to get hold of them, I guess. So you're not necessarily looking for a response from this form of marketing. It's just more to put your brand in front of people. Is that correct? Or your clients' brands?
Exactly. Building momentum with them, especially if you know that person that you're reaching. So you're just telling them, guys, I'm here. Remember, you've worked together before, or we are one of your suppliers or something like this, and we're just telling you, stay home, do this, do that. Or even for our other clients that they send tips about, for example, Ramadan tips for what to do between mothers and children, how to handle your child, stuff like this, just to put the brand there. We're building branding. We're doing branding exercises. We went back to basics. It's not anymore how to sell the product and how to do the lead generation. It's more about how to show that you're there, and the selling will come after.
Yeah, got it. Willie, let us know if you have a follow-up question there, or if that hasn't answered the question in any way, please. Okay, so unless there's any other questions or insights regarding the first bit, so redefine and reach, let's now move into, I guess, perhaps a bit more in depth in identifying the tools that are in hand and repackaging them for clients. Now, you've already mentioned the use of WhatsApp and video as a means of communication, not just in sales, but as you said, of connecting at an emotional level. What other tools are you, I guess, not necessarily exposing your clients to, but I guess kind of dusting off the cobwebs and saying, look, we also have these in our inventory. Let's use them. What other things are you talking about?
We started promoting more the webinars. It's now time to start using the webinars, start using the communication through webinars, developing the branding for them, emailers, preparing videos, interviews, using surveys, and we started searching for new technologies like artificial intelligence surveys, where chatbots, interactive chatbots. So we don't want anymore to have the same simple things that we used to have before. We need to get things to lead for it with a message. So when we started using the artificial intelligence surveys or the chatbots with them, we started using them in a way that we're communicating with the client, we're getting to know the client. At the same time, we're sending them messages about our brands. The background of the survey is animated and with graphics and a message. And once they reach at the end, on the second where we're asking them to do something for us is giving us their mobile number or giving us their email. This is where we're giving out coupons, or we're offering some freebies so that they can feel that, okay, we spent time over that survey and we got the communications, but we're giving out. Exactly. And the whole thing, everything rotates around the same 4 or 5 elements, but and how you can put them together. It's the videos, it's the emailers, it's the design and posts, the artworks that we're doing, and the webinars and the meetings online. And this is how we started segregating them.
Are you able to disclose any of the clients that have been able to successfully engage with these kind of campaigns?
For sure, we handle a lot of pharma companies, so we developed a lot of webinars for them, branding for the webinars, emailers. We have done lots of videos also for government sectors. Luckily we had the Ramadan, where we had so many video posts about Ramadan Kareem posts and stuff like that to be shared with the clients. Artificial intelligence surveys were used also with the health world industry when they were dealing with the doctors, asking them about the questions, asking them about details, situations that they're facing. Also, we used a lot of informative videos or informative emailers about COVID-19, explaining for the audience what is it, what to do, what not to do, not to be afraid. Communicating with them about the steps that you have to do to stay safe and things like that. It's the same tools we have, but when you look at it, it's simple, but it's how you position your message and how you develop your message and the artwork and you communicate with them and how you build momentum with your customers.
So am I right in saying that the strategy then here, I guess, from a client of yours point of view, is not so much to, although obviously sales of whatever product or service they're offering will inevitably happen once enough nurturing has taken place. The priority now is just almost from a business continuity perspective is to let our either existing customers or perhaps future customers know that actually, despite what's going on, we're still very much in business. We'll be here to support you. We'll be here to provide products or services that are relevant to you on an ongoing basis. Is that really the kind of, I guess, the theme of the communication? Because everything you've articulated so far doesn't necessarily say, there's no sales message per se. It's more about, just keeping in contact or establishing contact for when the time is right for a purchase to be made. Is that right?
This is the major part of we are in business, and the second part that comes is the message that goes along with the video that you're sending or the email that you're sending. Many people has turned more into the educational part. How can we educate our customers about the situation, about what's happening, sharing ebooks or stuff like that? But the selling is coming as you go. But at the same time, you have to keep on promoting your company as we're in business. We didn't shut down. We're moving forward. We're by your side. How can we take it forward? Remember that we are your partners in business. We are not letting you down. We're staying here by your side, and how we can move forward together.
Yeah. Nice. I like it. Guys, are there any more questions or insights for the second pillar there? So we're talking about identifying the tools that we already have in hand, but then repackaging them so that now, I guess, the tools become, I guess, relevant to a point where the client perhaps didn't realize before. You know, we've obviously mentioned the likes of WhatsApp. We're talking now about webinars, for example. I mean, obviously we're on a webinar now, but the reality is, you know, 6 months down the line or whenever this crisis is passed, a webinar strategy will not be anywhere near as successful as it is today, because people won't perhaps have the time to entertain this kind of content delivery. So I think that's really interesting. But again, it comes back to the education piece that we mentioned in the first part as well. Letting people know we're in business, letting people know how we can help when they need us, and also that we're by their side. And I think that kind of community feel, if you like, is hopefully something that will continue beyond this crisis, not just from a business perspective, but also like on a personal, on a community level as well. So, okay, look, there's no more questions on that. So I think the content is on point. So let's move now on to the third, and perhaps one of the most exciting parts for me is the third strategy, the innovation. So what we've discussed already is I guess accepting where we are from a business perspective, understanding who are today our perhaps our new clients or our existing clients that need us in a different way. What tools do we have today to support those clients to reach their customers? But then, so that's, I guess, short term, should we say, is making sure that there's cash flow right now. But now that we understand, okay, this isn't something that's going to change overnight. The reality that we bounce back to will be fundamentally different to the reality we left a few short weeks ago. So how do we prepare for that? And one of the things, or one of the ways you've mentioned that certainly you are preparing for that is by the use of innovation. So can you just expand on that a bit more, please, Fahd? What do you mean by innovation when it comes to your business and how you reach and sell to your clients?
As I said, it's now we know the tools, we know what we have in hand and how we're going to use the tools, but we need to push it forward. So many people are used to use before print material, catalogs, brochures to reach their customers and to engage with their customers. And now with the situation that you cannot meet the customers, we need to find ways of how can we get the message to the customer at the same time educate them and get them to utilize the message that we have in mind and do the sales part. And this is here where it comes, where we, for one of the clients, what we've done is we took their catalog, we split it into different messages, around 18 messages. Each message can link to a certain video. So we sent them the first email. The email is with some information. To read more, they can go to a video where the customer is explaining about what they do, what they have, or services that they have. And this is where we have used multiple layers of the tools to get the client to be engaged with us. And the messages were not one; it was a series of emails that was happening twice per week to get different messages and different branding for their end user, to explain for them about their product, about their presentation, about their message, and accordingly to get them engaged with them. If we go back and at the end, it's marketing, and we need to make sure that we are beside our clients and explaining for our clients that we're here. If not the first message reached or the led to the details that we need, it will be the second message, and accordingly we keep on continuing to the reminding part of our customers. What we did also with with webinars, we always were looking for something new, looking for how can we develop and push the things further. So what we did is that we joint venture we partnered with different companies abroad that we can to deliver 3D virtual platforms where we can do exhibitions, where we can do events, where we can do full presentations in a 3D world, in an avatar world where people can come in, sign, register their name, move around in a certain areas or certain place in the 3D platform, choose which exhibition hall they want to go to the auditorium, sit in the auditorium, attend the whole meeting, ask questions. So it's more interactive. It's not sitting only in front of a computer the same way we're doing now. It's you brought a full game aspect and game platform to the whole event industry, and how it can be utilized more, and how it can be used for more interactive events. Looking at the situation, and regardless how optimistic we want to be about COVID-19, we all hope it will finish tomorrow, but it will not finish tomorrow. It's something that might take 6 months. It's something that might take 1 year. It's something that might take there are no studies or no previous situations that can tell us it will finish in a certain amount of time. So we have to be ready and prepared of how to handle our business, and how can we continue the business, and how can we make sure that we're interacting with the people that we need to interact with.
I guess it's a very good point, and I think it's quite sensible to some extent to assume that, okay, yes, we will bounce back at some point, yes, we'll get through this, but the reality is, because we don't know how long that's going to take, we need to get used to this new norm now. But then in addition to that, when we do bounce back, the reality is there will be fundamental shifts in behavior at a social level. So people won't want to eat, let's say, in the same way in restaurants. They won't want to. So it may mean that restaurants, for example, have to accommodate less tables to allow for people to eat in their establishments. It may mean like companies or business models like WeWork cease to exist, because they're built on this idea of collaborative work environments that may not be accommodated in the future world with this shift in behavior. So I think it's quite interesting. What you mentioned about 3D virtual platforms creating more immersive experience rather than just, like I say, a flat screen webinar, for example. I think that's super interesting. So have you run any of these projects for clients already, or are these just brainstorming sessions at the moment? We've just started just in the ideation phase.
We started introducing that concept to the customer. The thing is that it's something that nobody needed before, because why should I go into spending into this platform when I can get the client to a place, travel our customers from one place to another, and sit with them in an event or an exhibition. So the platforms are starting to become very common these days, and I think this will be the future, at least for the next 1 year or 1 year and a half, until everything is a little bit cleared. So we have presented that to around 2 or 3 customers. They are very interested in it. for them, you're trying to educate them again. We're going into the education process, showing samples and showing demos for them of how can we utilize, how can we take it forward, and how can they use their team also to move forward into this direction. Remember, when you're dealing with healthcare and pharmaceutical companies, these people are used or were used to go to doctors on weekly basis. They were used to go to pharmacists on the weekly basis. They were used to do seminars, meetings, and events with different people and different audiences. While now this is a bit difficult, and they need to use their, they need to approach the people that they're communicating with them, and they need to deliver the message. So how to deliver the message?
Just out of interest, is there because of the need to now think more creatively about the solutions you offer your clients, has the decision-making process changed within your clients, or the perhaps not this decision-making process, but perhaps the people that are party to the decisions now? So, for example, in the past, it may have just been the marketing manager who has access to X amount of dollars a year to spend. But now, if you're bringing, a newfangled solution to that company, surely that would imply that this decision is now beyond just the marketing manager, exactly, for want of a better phrase. Surely perhaps the company owner would now be involved in it, because you're out essentially redefining, as you mentioned earlier on, how they can reach and engage their audiences. So is the sales pitch changed, or is the delivery of that pitch changed for you guys as well?
This pitch for sure has changed, because now the approach, we're not sitting anymore with the brand managers. We're sitting with the brand managers, the IT, and in some cases the legal team, so that we can explain for them that whatever we're doing is legal, whatever we're doing with them is falls within the regulatories of the company. The IT people has to be involved due to the security of the messages and security of the emails that we're sending out, and the privacy that we're sending out, whether we have consent from the people we're sending to or not. Business owners, the good thing is in our situation and it's not making it very difficult for us to do the sales pitch, because what you're presenting is an answer for a request from them. The business owners are pushing their marketing team to come up with the new solutions of how to reach their customers, because nobody wants to stop working and nobody wants to pack and leave. Everybody wants to find a way how can they stay. So the second we are approaching our client, if we are not if our first line is not we have something new for you, their first line for us is what's something new you have for us. So, and this is where the approach is mainly it's an answer to a question. It's more just a presenting a new tool, which is not
any kind of sales environment, right? You start with the problem, because if your solution is not addressing a problem directly, then no one's going to buy into it, right? Exactly. Because it's not deemed as relevant. We had someone on a call a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions was, this was when we had the partner ecosystem session. One of the questions was, how do you deal with a client when you're launching a new product or service during a crisis? And the reality is, from my perspective, having lived a life in sales, that doesn't necessarily make the sale any harder. What makes the sale harder is if that product or service that's been developed is no longer relevant based on the current circumstances. So another guys at Microsoft were saying that if that happens, if they've spent a year developing something and they're now at rollout, and because of the change in circumstance in the environment, it's now changed, they can't now sell that product or service. They'll instead offer it for free as a value add, because why would they try and sell something that's not relevant to a client? That puts unnecessary stress on a relationship and also closes the client's ears to future innovations that may be relevant to the client. So I think that problem solution situation in any kind of sales environment is key. And I think you've quite correctly articulated the need for, they're coming to you with a problem. You're now able to think more creatively about how can we provide a solution to this problem as well.
Exactly. I cannot go to my clients today and tell them I want to sell you pens or USBs or any promotional item. There's no need for that. The idea is, as I said, repackaging the tools And how can we communicate? You still need the creative services, because you need to develop your interactive videos. You need to develop your interactive messages. So it's all about how can we tell them. If I go to him and tell him, I want to sell you a brochure or a catalog, he doesn't need it, but he needs a PDF brochure and a PDF catalog that he needs to send to his customers by email or by WhatsApp or something. And this is how we redefine the whole tools and the approach.
Yeah.
This is mainly.
Guys, so that's really interesting what you just mentioned there, Fahd. Guys, do you have any other questions or insights based on what we've just been discussing? Well, we wait for some questions to come through. I'm just going to sum up the three kind of strategies that we've just been out on, or Fahd has just outlined. So the first one was that around the redefining reach to our customers, and then also to their customers, so customers are customers in a way. And that's done for yourselves via an initial client mapping exercise to understand what are the lower hanging fruit, or what are the clients that our solutions are most relevant to given this current situation. Where are we able to offer the most value? Because it's pointless engaging with clients, new or old, where we can't offer that value. Engaging on a more personal level than perhaps we've had time to accommodate in the past, and then operating from I guess a thought leadership perspective, with a mindset of, okay, we're in business, we're still going to be in business in 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years time. So there's no point hanging up our boots now. Let's get together and think creatively about what solutions we can put together to thrive rather than just survive. So that was the redefining reach section. And we moved on to identifying the tools in hand and how we can, I guess, brush the dust off these tools and use them again to once again engage our clients, but perhaps on a different level. So you mentioned WhatsApp, you mentioned webinars, surveys, new tech or AI surveys as well, with interactive chat boxes. Now, these may not be necessarily new tools, but the people who have not used them perhaps in the past, there's an opportunity to use them now based on the different behavior that we currently have with people working at home, people a bit more relaxed, people are a little bit more open to maybe receiving a phone call, or maybe receiving a WhatsApp message, or being introduced to content via video that they haven't entertained in the past. And then the third strategy was really that regarding innovation. So how to get the message to the customer in a way that appeals to the customer as well. So, you know, ultimately answering the question, how can we sell to them, right? So, and you mentioned a couple of examples like creating these 3D immersive platforms as a way to, I guess, host webinars. So rather than just a normal 2D webinar like we have today, you almost gamify the experience. So I'd imagine something along the lines of trying to replicate, let's say, something like Cityscape, where you walk around the arena to get to
exactly
a panel session, right? Rather than just logging in and the panel's there, you're actually walking around the exhibition, seeing a few stands, and then you come across the speech. So it's infinitely more interesting, but I think the key word there is engaging. So it's really super interesting for us. Guys, are there any more questions or comments? Just add them to the chat box now. Doesn't look like there's any more questions, so I'm happy with that. I think the content's been on point. So look, we'll close with that. But what I would like to say is, obviously, what I mentioned to you guys earlier on about the white paper, I mentioned at the beginning of the call. If you guys are interested in receiving a copy of the white paper, then please just put a comment in the chat box. Just write white paper, and then we can arrange a copy of that to get sent to you guys once that's ready. And I'll probably give you a call in the next couple of days just to ask some questions around that. And then the other thing I'd like to mention is, if you'd like to become part of our mastermind community, again, just please put a comment in the chat box, mastermind, and I'll reach out to you in the next couple of days just for a quick conversation about what that means, what we're doing, what we're discussing, and if that's really going to be of value to you guys as well. So look, the only remaining thing for me to do is really thank Fahd. Thank Fahd. I've really enjoyed the session today. I found it really interesting. Do you just want to say anything, Chloe? Maybe for people on the call, if they want to get hold of you in the future, if they have questions, how would they be able to reach you, Fahd?
You can reach me through my mobile, which is 050-2823-226, or through my email, which is Fahd@skyhigh, Fahd, F-A-H-D, @skyhighadv.net.
Magic. Listen, thanks very much. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Do something else.
I just want to say something that it's not.
Yep.
The decision is not whether we stop marketing or not. The decision should be is we need to be there and we need to keep on going forward. We need to let our customers to know that we are still in business, whether it's COVID or not COVID. It's a phase that will pass. And I think it's a new era for everyone. Nobody knows what's going to be after Corona or after the whole thing opens back, but at least we have to be ready and we have to make sure that we're moving forward. The pause is not an option. This is my way of thinking, at least, and let's hope everybody also is thinking in this way to move forward and to continue, because life will not stop. Life will continue.
I think it's a very good way of looking at it. Yeah, life is not going to pause. Life waits for no man, as they say. So we're in business together. If we can do anything we can to support each other now or in the coming weeks, then let's just reach out and make sure we have those conversations. Because the reality is we're all, as business owners, we're intending to be in business in 5 years, 10 years time. So what we do now, I think, will really set us up for success, the relationships we build and the people we engage with and lives touch. So thanks again, Fahd. Really enjoyed the chat today. Thanks again for joining, guys. We'll be back here again at the same time next week. The topic we'll be announcing in the next couple of days. So stay safe. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.